How's it going, everyone? Session here. Welcome to Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the game. We have ourselves the next rapid patch notes set targeted to be released September 12th, which is on Tuesday. And this is pretty impressive, actually, to be getting patch notes again after already getting some earlier for some quality of life things and changes and whatnot. It looks like there are going to be more notes coming to the game, and then we'll get the preview of what's to come before the game actually releases the notes too, so we have plenty of time to really figure out like what changes are they implementing. So let's check it out. While we have our next patch notes planned and targeted to go out on Tuesday, September 12th, while we have verified the fixes within this patch on their own, the team will spend the weekends verifying the fixes within the rest of the game build, particularly that they do not create any issues in the other areas of the game, which I think is important because they're testing the actual fixes that they're changing to the game to keep the game as it is intended to be without having it break anything else, which I really appreciate them testing their game, because it doesn't seem like a lot of developers actually do that when they do come out with patch notes, especially when it involves gameplay. It is important to note that if any tack-on issues should arise during the phase of testing, we may have to delay, but Tuesday is our target, and for the sake of transparency, we wanted to share these and the process with you, being the community. So the patch will address the following issues. Fixed. Victims trapped collision issue. Result in issue where victims who are trapped and then lose collision control when trying to use a gap afterwards. Okay, that's actually really nice though. So it's not only related to hitchhiker traps and victims. This happens also with Sissie's poison. So people end up losing their ability to actually like control the character. You kind of get stuck pretty much when you're in the process of trying to go through a gap, and that could be with like a lot of things. So the fact that they fix that is actually really nice. I didn't experience it too much because of just the fact that I didn't go up against the family members that were involved in this, but the other character is Sissy that they're talking about, so this makes sense. They fixed the perking up achievement. Fixed an issue with perking up achievement to unlock, and then they so we can kind of keep on going for those good old Steam achievements, which is cool. Continue on lobby end screen has been fixed. The issue was causing all active players to wait the full timer when choosing to continue to the next match, and then due to because of people disconnecting. That's actually something I didn't really think about, because what'll happen is if you did press the like for me it's the E key, I play on keyboard and mouse. If you try to go to the next match, you have to literally wait for the timer to like just disappear or go to 0 before you can actually like leave that screen. And it's because people quit because they, you know, were eliminated early or something. So usually when you are playing a victim, if you do get eliminated, then if you're like a solo player, you're just gonna leave and go to get the next one. This is actually causing this issue, and I've experienced it quite a lot when I was streaming. So to fix this is actually really nice, so I actually do appreciate that. So it also help up speed up the process of matchmaking into the next match for players who stay, because you don't get bonus points for staying to watch the match, but it is kind of implied that you should continue to watch and see if your people, you know, teammates can escape and that kind of thing. But people are also quick to just go to the next one, so this makes total sense. Continue missing from custom game end screen. The result in issue where the continue option was missing from the end screen of custom games. Okay, that's fair. Battery match start state rather. The car battery will now start out on and be powered up by default. This will help familiar players get to the task at hand and to set up the match faster. This is actually kind of an insane change. So if you really want to think about it, this is a pretty big buff for the whole family side, because depending on which member you pick, you actually spawn in certain places for certain maps. So I think, for example, just to give yourself a better chance of being able to escape, you know, if you're playing like Slaughterhouse and then there's not like a Sissy, then you literally have an easier time escaping through the side where the car battery appears. So a character, if she's not in the map, then she's the one that spawns right on top of the car battery, so she can turn it on, basically. The next person who can do that is technically Johnny, but because his stamina and his speed is not the fastest, well, he's got good endurance but like low speed, he's the closest person besides her who can actually go turn on the battery. So now that they've allowed you to just have it on by default, it just lets them go do stuff to prepare for the grandpa, because in the beginning of the match, most of the time it's them setting up the escape routes and kind of blocking them out as much as possible. So for them to already have the car battery starting out by default, I think is pretty cool actually. So I actually really appreciate this. It'll allow this is definitely a pretty big buff for the family side, just because they're going to be able to wake up the grandpa with blood much quicker in comparison to before, and so that will allow the game to be a bit more balanced on their side, I would say. So that's cool. Respec in lobby option, they changed it. We have removed the option to respect characters in match lobbies. Interesting. You can still edit the character loadouts and spend any unused skill points, and respect will have to be done in the main menu now. So this is actually a really interesting change, because ultimately, I can see this being a very good and a very bad thing, but it's only because the game is still new. So for example, like me being the player that I am, I can essentially level up 2.5 characters to like in full, and so in the event that I'm trying to play, like, let's say Connie, but then someone's playing Connie, then I have to go to my character being like Julie, like she's like my next character. But if I don't have any points on Julie and I have points on Anna, then I have to just forcibly play a character that I don't have the ability to put skill points into. If I have unused skill points though, I can spend them in the match, which is cool. But in order for me to effectively be more prepared for the character that I want to play or not play, I need to be able to pick the character quickly or go into a match with unused points and then just spend them as I see fit. This may seem like an issue, but it's really not though, just because as you continue to play the game and level up, you will eventually have enough points to feed every single character. So I think this mostly just kind of comes into play for the family side, because family members are able to just switch around their characters really easily, as much as the victims can. But you know, in the event that if I wanted to play Leatherface, but I don't have him leveled up, I obviously can't unrespect my points from Hitchhiker and put them on Leatherface. Now I have to go back to the main menu. So I actually appreciate this though, because you have to also go into the match with the character that you're trying to play, and to be able to immediately go from like a level 0 to level 10 character is actually pretty insane. It's a really powerful change that you can put yourself into, because you can just immediately prepare yourself for whomever the opponents are. So this will be definitely more balanced on both sides. I think it'll be more difficult for the family versus the victims, but I still appreciate that they told us this change. They might, I don't know if they'll change this like or revert it in any kind of way, because I think this is going to be a change that people won't be too happy about, but it's not that big of a deal considering that if you play the game for a while, this becomes irrelevant to you. So we'll see. They tuned bone scrap limits. They're now limited to 3 uses per pile. This is just one step in terms of balancing the scrap usage and frequency. So this is actually, I know that they're calling it like a tune, but it's definitely a nerf for the victims, because I do believe the number is quite honestly unlimited in terms of being able to pull up bone scraps from the piles. So for them to limit it to 3 uses now, it kind of becomes a dangerous situation for them. They have to really figure out how to effectively use them now. And now the bone scrap usage is more strategic than it is aggressive, because I think that was an issue that I've definitely encountered on my end. So to tell like a really quick story, I was playing Leatherface, I found an Anna, and she had a bone scrap in her hand, and essentially she snuck up behind me, hit me with it, and then she rapidly pulled out another bone scrap. And obviously because she hit me in my back of my neck, I had to re-rev my chainsaw. But because I couldn't in front of her, because I didn't have the one rip, she was able to pull out a bone scrap and hit me faster than I was to get away. Like I had to actually, like, as Leatherface, run away from the Anna, you know. And I feel like that's the exact opposite of what you're supposed to do in game. It was really embarrassing. So for them to limit it, at least, just kind of prevents that to a degree. Like, it's not like an infinite loop, because you can get infinitely looped by 2 victims as one person. You literally just sit there and you have to just take hits forever, especially if you're playing as Leatherface. It's so much worse. So for them to actually make this a limitation issue now is pretty insane, because now you have to be very strategic. And on top of that, there are certain characters who thrive on using bone scrap more than other tools, and other characters who don't use them at all. So now you have to actually be very thoughtful about what you're taking and when you're using it, because then the perks that you have that lets you actually see bone scraps might disappear with time, obviously, because, you know, you're not going to be able to know where they are when you like take the well and then you spawn in, kind of thing. So we'll see how this turns out. I do think that this is going to be a pretty big change for the gameplay overall. The game should be slightly leaning on the family side with this change also, but this also emphasizes that you're not supposed to deliberately and specifically fight the family with bone scraps. It's not intentional to do that. You're supposed to use this in order to avoid making noise or get the sneak attack if the opportunity arises. But to waste the bone scraps on the family just so that you can try to get them stunned and kind of do some bullying, this is going to fix that a little bit, so I appreciate that. Then they tune cook lock usage XP farm. Yeah, so there was a I saw somebody who was already level 92 and it was really crazy, and then they were playing cook, and it turns out that it was because you remove and repeat. You use the padlock. You take the padlock, you put it on, you take it off, put it on, take it off, and you do that on repeat for forever. So you literally can do it. I saw somebody get like 10,000 points once with Cook, and it was so weird because I just didn't understand how that was possible. But now I understand that it was because it was Cook's luck. I didn't know how they did it. I just assumed that it was like a good game thing, but I had no idea. But this makes sense to me. So for them to lock it is actually pretty nice. Lobby timer set to 3 minutes. We added the lobby timer in the last patch to give more time to fill lobbies. The community generally disliked this change, therefore they reverted it back to standard 3 minutes. They did lower the time just to try to get people to queue into the game faster, but I guess like because of the backlash, people were not too pleased with it. I'm okay with them keeping it 3 minutes because honestly, people in the game don't really wait the whole 3 minutes. And I think that this becomes less of an issue now that you can't re-level characters from 0 to 10 or anything like that. So, you know, those two changes together should actually do pretty well overall, just because now you don't have to sit there and then level up from 0 to 10 and watch them. Because like, if I was on the family side, I can literally watch a Connie and an Anna switch, have them both be level 0, and then have them both go to level 10. So that's actually kind of just, it's not annoying, but it's, you know, it's just a change that you can kind of, you kind of see what's going on. You're like, okay, well, now I know that they're not playing these characters for the first time ever. They just have all their points elsewhere. So further anti-cheat tuning and improvements. We continued our work on the anti-cheat and are one step closer to integrating PC onto crossplay. We're just not there yet. So players encountering usage of cheats and or hacks via public PC lobbies, please continue to reach out to support. So go for that. And then the new edition of the Mortal Times will come in the 13th. So that's all. Now, I really, really appreciate and enjoy and love the fact that we're getting these notes so nice, because you know, we get to react to them, we get to read what they're doing, what they're thinking about changing, and you get like a really good sense of what they're doing also just because of that, right? So just them having that ability to just tell us what's going on is really welcoming. So because like it'd be different, because I think other games that do patches like this, they already implement the change and then they give you the notes after the fact, you know? So they already kind of said that, oh, we think that this is the better idea, so we're doing this, right? And then they just throw it in the game and let the people figure it out. Now, instead, these guys are actually figuring it out, making the change, and then testing it. And then testing it again before it actually goes live. So that way, if we do, you know, get a sense of what's going on, and then we go into the game, we can be prepared for what to look out for. And then in the event that like it's not going well for us, then you know they'll update us again, because people are pretty adamant and highly conversing about this game, which is good because I think that's a passion, and I'm in the same boat as well. Although like so far for me though, I've had no complaints about the gameplay itself. I've only had issues with players who play this game in a certain way that's not intended to be played. So I think that's what's going to be the thing that has to be checked out here and there, but we'll see. I mean, that's a whole different conversation though. So all in all though, patch notes are pretty sweet. I'm really happy about this. I'm looking forward to, I mean, this game is definitely one of my favorite games now, just with ease, and I'm really excited to keep on going and just finding out what more is to come. Obviously there's no content release updates yet, but when they do release that, I'm so excited to find out. So hopefully you guys enjoy. Let me know what you think. Take care.